Hi, Adrian from Fatch Fitness again. Today's video blog is about the core exercises that I give all of my clients who are looking at really improving their core. We focus on two main things. One is to maximize core activation and minimize the involvement of the hip flexors. Now, in a couple of my previous video blogs, I talked about two of the three exercises that I'm going to cover today. So I'll show them briefly and then spend a little bit of time on the third of the exercises that I give my clients. So of those three exercises that I provide, the first one I give is a crunch, a standard crunch. Now, if you've seen my blog article on crunching and the reason why you can't sit all the way up, well then this is really looking at sort of a version of that. So let me give you a demonstration. So when I talk about doing a crunch, this is a standard crunch. So when you just come into here and you're not trying to sit all the way up. But the variation I like to make is what I don't want people to be trying to either pull with their head or swing in the head towards their knees. That's not really what this is about. What I've mentioned before is that the key to maximizing the contraction of your core is just to try and lift your rib cage off the ground. So I do an exercise or a modification I call reach for the sky. The reason why I do that is it allows you to have some guidance or a bit of a goal to aim for when you're doing this particular exercise. So reach for the sky is you put your fingers towards the ceiling or the sky, and when you sit up, all you're trying to do is just lift your rib cage off the ground and reach and try and touch the ceiling or the sky. So I'm not in a position where I'm trying to do this sort of movement here like this. I'm just reaching up and then all the way back down again. And so that's the first exercise that I'll have my clients build up, working up from 10 to 20 repetitions per set. The second one, which I covered last week, was about a modified plank. And so this is what I'm calling an active plank. And so again, if you've seen my clip, I talked a little bit about normal planking by itself is not particularly great, but if you actually pull back with your elbows towards your toes and really contract your core very hard, that then really switches on your core and totally de-emphasizes your hip flexors, allowing you to therefore get a really good load on your core without having too many other external muscles come in and help. Again, that exercise, generally clients can only do that for 10 or 20 seconds, and that tends to be enough to really load them for 2 or 3 sets. The third exercise I like to do is a Swiss ball crunch. Now, Swiss balls have been used for a long time, and there are, again, hundreds of different exercises you can do. I like just to take a standard crunch and modify it slightly just to become even more engaging with the core and again trying to keep the hip flexors out of the actual movement. So I'll give you a demonstration of how crunches are typically done and not done well, and then I'll show you my modification, and this is what I tend to apply to all my clients. So using the Swiss ball, now this floor is a bit slippery, so I'm going to put my feet up against the wall, but normally I would have their feet not touching anything, just being some friction on the floor. So if I get into a position, what we often see people do with their crunches with Swiss balls is this will be their start position here. And what they'll do is they'll then curl up to this position like this. And to be honest, this doesn't use a lot of abs at all, regardless of where your hands are. And I often see clients are able to do hundreds of these things and really not get much work out at all. And they get a huge amount of rocking going and then really not doing much. It's pretty useless. So the modification that I have my clients do, there are 2 parts to it. Firstly, I get them to try and hang as far over the ball as they possibly can. So I'll get them to lean back and try and drop their shoulders and try and open up their entire core. And they'll go from a kind of neutral spine position to an extended position. And I'll do a future article as to the reason why that's very important. But you do an extended position here, and then from this position, I'm going to do a reach for the sky. Now I either put my hands here, or if you find it's a bit loading on your neck, you can put your hands behind your head. But all I'm trying to do then is I'm trying to contract my core, my obliques, and then just sit straight up and then all the way back down into my extended position. Now I'm not interested in them doing this really fast. What I want my clients to do is to do it slow and controlled. So they're in extended position. They contract their obliques and their abs, and they then try and sit up, and then they come all the way back down again, have a little tiny relaxation, recontract and sit up, all the way down, relax, contract, sit up, all the way down, relax, contract, sit up, and repeat. And what you find is that starting in the extended position really loads the core and very deeply. So internal obliques and transversus abdominis are getting a real workout, and we are really targeting the core in a very functional way. So they're the three exercises. So there's a reach for the sky crunch on the floor, there is an active plank where you pull your elbows back, and then there is a modified Swiss ball crunch. And combination of those three, for anyone who's really keen to get their core strong, try and get away from the emphasis of the hip flexors, is an excellent way of developing a core before you move on to some more sort of intermediate and more advanced type of exercises.
Now, before you go, I just want to let you know that we've developed an online course called Introduction to the Core that's now available on our Fatch Fitness website. Now, in this course, we'll cover the following topics. What is the core? What are the muscles that make up the core? How you go about developing a truly strong and functional core? The sorts of exercises that you shouldn't do, because in the early stages, you've got to really do the right sort of exercise to ensure that you don't overload, in particular your lower back. I show you how you can accurately measure your current core strength, and then I provide you with a whole series of exercises that you can work through to develop a truly functional and strong core over time. Now, if you'd like to know more about this course, please click on the link below. That will take you to our Fatch Fitness website, where there is all the information that you need on this particular course. So best of luck, and I hope to see you online. Bye for now.